is on VSOCK support. So if you've ever read like Beach's Guide to Network Programming or something like that, you're probably familiar with AF sockets, that is address family internet. That's actually more specifically about IPv4. So that's like your classic internet addresses, but there's lots of other different types of socket communication out there. Maybe the second most familiar are Unix sockets. So this is another one that's specifically for VM host to guest communication. And the V, depending on who you talk to, stands for VMware or virtual machine SOC. So anyways, let's get into it. This was brought up by a user. They're using Firecracker and they ship logs out of Firecracker. So, they notice that serial they don't use because it's too slow. And, setting up a new IP-based system wasn't really an option either. So they've been using VSOCK already under Firecracker and they wanted to explore using it with Nanos. So that's where the support actually comes from. Let's just dive into it. So we go into our little folder here, and we have our, so we have this file main.c, and essentially, this is pretty basic. We basically just say hello from Nanos is the message that we're going to send out. On line 16, we create a VSOCK socket. And again, you're probably familiar with this. You usually do AF inet instead of AF VSOCK, but here we set the CID of host. And so we'll show more here in a bit how that actually gets passed. This is a 32-bit address. And then we have the port number. We just set it to 123 and set it to whatever you want. We connect, we write our message, and then we close it down. Pretty basic, right? All right. If you followed along with any of the Firecracker tutorials in the past, you'll notice that we have some of this VM configuration. I'm not really going to go too much into this because you can go to ops.city, see the documentation. There's blog posts on this. This is its own tutorial. So if you're just getting started with Firecracker, definitely read up on that stuff first. We even have videos on this. But essentially, we're setting the image here. And this is the new part, this stanza right here, this VSOCK. We set the guest CID to 3. Set it to whatever you want, but you'll see that you want to set it to a known instance, and then the UDS path. So the way VSOCK actually works is that there's 2 sockets that are created. One that controls communication to the VMM. In this case, that's Firecracker, but it could be QEMU, right? And then one that talks to the guest. And so what's interesting is those actually talk AF Unix instead of AF VSOCK. But we have a blog post coming out on this, and you can get more into those details. This is your address. This is your config. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to scroll up, and we have Firecracker. So I have it installed here. If you're using a Firecracker, you have it installed wherever. We give it its own socket file, right? So Firecracker is really keen on using Unix sockets for lots of different things. We pass it config, but before we start this, I'm going to pop into the other window. Here I have a netcat listener. That's what your -L stands for. And basically it's going to just listen on this vsock.sock, and then this _123. Remember that port. We set the port to 123, so that's really important. We're going to spawn that listener. We're going to pop back over here. We're going to boot our VM. You can see it booted instantly, right? We come back here and it says hello from Nanos. So that unikernel that we were showing you, it just shuts down as soon as it's done. But if you had like a web server, you could just continuously send it messages if you wanted to, right? Anyway, that's a really fast introduction to using VSOCK on the Nanos Unikernel. You don't have to use Firecracker. We use Firecracker here. You can use it with QEMU or anything else that supports VSOCK. But till next time, catch you guys later.